Hello mga ka-learners! It's Teacher Carmela. In the last 2 lessons, you learned about choosing seeds, irrigation methods, and fertilizers. You also learned how to use the scientific method in solving problems in agriculture. In this lesson, you will study crop rotation, a technique in farming that could help you increase your harvest and protect the soil. After this lesson, you should be able to first, define what is crop rotation. Second, state the importance of crop rotation. And lastly, explain how crop rotation is done. Mangustin was happy with his rice field. He applied the scientific method in choosing the seeds to plant and in irrigating the field. He was also able to choose an effective and economical fertilizer that is best suited to his plants. While waiting for the rice plants to be harvested, Mangustin decided to raise vegetables in his backyard. His family invited Mr. Cruz again to help them in gardening. Aling Tinay, Mangustin's wife, was very eager and excited to start the project. I can't wait to harvest the vegetables from my own garden.
What vegetables do you intend to plant?
I'm thinking of planting tomatoes, eggplants, cabbages, and petchay.
That's great. When do you intend to plant them? I would like to tell you what I learned from my own vegetable garden.
As soon as possible. I want them all growing at the same time. In this lesson, you will learn how to use the scientific method in getting the most from soil's potential or farming through crop rotation. Crop rotation is a system of alternating the types of plants to be grown in a plot of land. This allows the soil to recover its lost nutrients. Crop rotation is the regular succession of planting crops for 2 or more years.
I also have a garden at home. I planted a lot of vegetables in it.
Like eggplants and tomatoes?
Yes, Aling Tinay, and carrots and radishes too. However, I noticed that after about 2 years, the vegetables were not as healthy as when I first planted them. They were smaller and had a low yield.
What happened?
I'm not really sure. Perhaps the soil must have lost its nutrients. I planted one part of the garden with mungo. When the mungo was harvested, I planted eggplants in the same soil where it grew. I noticed that after a month, the eggplants growing in the soil where the mungo was planted were healthier than the eggplants in other areas.
What could be the reason?
I realized that it could be the mungo. I went to the Department of Agriculture Extension Office to inquire about it. I learned that I had just practiced crop rotation, a method of alternating crops to make the soil recover its nutrients.
From Mr. Cruz's story, can you see how he used the scientific method in solving his problem with his garden? Mr. Cruz was able to discover crop rotation in his garden by using the scientific method. Let me tell you more about crop rotation. Plants get their nutrients from the soil. Remember what you have learned about fertilizers? Fertilizers are needed because the soil can lose its nutrients. The soil loses its nutrients because of soil erosion. Another factor that can reduce soil fertility is the type of crops that are planted in the soil. Study the 3 types of vegetables. Leaf crops are soil rubbers. Vegetables with large leaves such as mustard, cabbage, cauliflower, and lettuce take away a lot of nutrients from the soil. Legumes are soil enhancers. They give back to the soil the nutrients used up by other plants. The bacteria that infect the roots of these legumes fix nitrogen. That is, they convert nitrogen from the air into nitrogen compounds that can be used by plants. When the legume dies, it releases the stored nitrogen as it decomposes. Thus, the released nitrogen enriches the soil. Examples of legumes are beans, such as peas, peanuts, and mungo. Root crops are hardy plants. Tubers, such as ube and cassava, do not require many nutrients from the soil to survive. Carrots and turnips are root crops too. These are planted when the soil has not yet fully recovered its nutrients. In crop rotation, the crops planted in a plot of land are alternated. Soil rubbers are alternated with soil enhancers to allow the soil to recover its lost nutrients. This way, plants will grow healthier and yield more produce. Also, rotating crops will help control the pests and insects in the area, since each one refers a specific type of plant. Changing crops can limit the number of harmful organisms present in a farm or garden. A typical crop rotation program would be: first year, root crops, legumes, leaf crops. Second year, legumes, leaf crops, root crops. Let's remember, crop rotation is a system of alternating the types of plants to be planted in a plot of land. This is done to allow the soil to recover its nutrients after a planting season. There are three main types of vegetable crops based on their effects on the soil. These are the leafy crops, root crops, and legumes. And that marks the end of our lesson on applying the scientific method in crop rotation. In the next lesson, you will learn about contour planting. See you mga ka-learners!